Hello and welcome to Cloud Streaming Monday. In today's video, we are not going to do White Knight Chronicles or White Knight Chronicles 2 with White Knight Chronicles 1 remastered. That's in the past for now. It's time to move on and try something else. And I think I teased it last week. Today's game is going to be Key of Heaven, and it's a PlayStation Portable game. And I kind of remember it. So a bit of context is I had a PSP. Actually, I think I imported a Japanese PSP before it came out. And I really loved that handheld. I used it for so much more than games. So whilst I had it for a long time and used it so much, I didn't play as many games as you'd think, because I was using it for podcast streaming. I was using it for internet and accessing university emails, and I actually watched UMD movies on it and filled memory sticks with cartoons and anime and stuff. So this game, Key of Heaven, I recognize it. I might, if there was a demo, I think I might have played it. So I'm really curious to see what it is. I don't think there's going to be any trophies for this, and I don't quite know what game style it's going to be. And this will also be the first PSP game I've played via cloud streaming. When it was PlayStation Now, I did play a lot of PlayStation 3 games. And since it's changed to PlayStation Plus Premium, you've seen I've played White Knight Chronicles, but I've also been downloading some PS4 games like Lumines and Uno. So this is my first PSP game on this service. So I'm also a little excited for that. So let's have a look. Alright, we're not going to download. That art in the background looks pretty cool though, doesn't it? So, let's stream. Do you see it's 1.11 gigabytes? That's kind of the upper limit of a PSP game. The UMD discs were a variation of the high MD discs that Sony mini disc players use. Those discs had about 1 gigabyte of data on them, or 1 gigabyte of space. Fun fact, I actually used one at university instead of a USB memory stick. USB memory was about 128 megabytes back then, and a 1 gigabyte disc was cheaper than a 128 megabyte USB drive. Now, granted, the high mini disc player, that costs a bit more money, but I also used it for music. I still got mini discs today. So UMD, I think it topped out at 1.3 gigabytes, and that was with some extra compression and stuff. Okay, so touchpad left to right. As you can see, I'm playing on a PS4. If you're unfamiliar, I use a launch model Japanese PS4. So sometimes with heavy games, it gets really loud. You should have a look at the videos I did for Deliver Us the Moon. You can literally hear the PS4 ramp up and go down in those videos. Oh yes. What do you reckon? English and Japanese? Get the authentic look to it. If you're also unfamiliar with the PSP, it's not an HD handheld. So that's why it looks like it does. I don't quite remember the specifics. I don't think it's 480p, but I think it's not too far from it. But it was also like I wouldn't say it's strange. Oh, a bit of story. But yeah, I don't think the aspect ratio was quite normal either. But I don't quite remember. So if you're unfamiliar with these videos, it's not so much a video discussing how good or bad the game is. Instead, it's a discussion about the streaming quality of the game. Does streaming affect gameplay? And what's it like to stream? So in that opening sequence, at some points it looked like a little bit of screen tearing, and some points it looked a little bit of macro blocking, or like sort of not quite squares. So I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it was definitely acceptable. God, you see that 2006. It was PSP. This might be like a couple of years into the PSP's life cycle, but that's also computer entertainment. That could be that that was when it was released in Europe with an English translation. It's possible Key of Heaven could actually have been much closer to a launch title in Japan. Interesting, we've just been granted free stuff. Now the thing is, because I've had a PSN account since before the PS3 came out, it could be that if this stuff was free on the PSN, I might have already added it to my account. So I can't guarantee that you guys will have all this. But it might be safe to assume, if it was free, that they just kind of given it to people to play with. Looks kind of good for a PSP game, especially an early one. Character models are clear. Immediate background is also quite clear. Far background, a bit so-so. Kind of repeating stuff. So it's kind of around PS2 level. Maybe not quite PS2 level, as this is probably an earlier PSP game. If you're unfamiliar with the PSP, in the beginning, the processor on it was capped to, like, for example, 200 megahertz. And after 2 or 3 years, basically when Final Fantasy 7 or Crisis Core, when that came out, Sony released a patch for the PSP that unlocked it, or so raised the cap to 255. Now, if you're a bit confused, what we saw before was like an FMV, a pre-rendered video, and that is at the PSP's original sort of resolution. As this is a PS4 and PS5 game you can download onto your console, we actually have sort of HD'd versions of the game here. I don't honestly. Oh. Okay. Circle. I felt like a bit of lag then. As in, I pressed in circle and nothing much happened. Yeah, I'm a little confused. I don't know if this is original graphics HD'd, so up-res, upscaled to whatever, or if they've actually gone in and made some tweaks to it. Unfortunately, I didn't look up about the game. I kind of saw it last week and was like, I kind of want to play that. I'm not pressing anything as the game is just doing the story as we go. 今火急の用件でちくわに行く途中なので。ちくわん？ちくわんは俺の村だ。では、東方清流門の元門弟で部門始まって以来の問題児神部を
教えを無視し放蕩の末、門主弘法様に破門された不出来な兄弟子神武をご存知ですか？ご存知ですか？
ああ、ご存知だよ。よか
った。では早速竹庵へ。
Okay, so it's now saying that's X will continue it. So the PSP didn't have two analog sticks. It had one nubbin on the left, and that was it. So the right analog stick is not doing anything. Some games use the L and R buttons to turn the screen. This game doesn't. So it's kind of fixed, and you have to trust that the game is going to change it for you. But that map in the corner is so big. Oh, sorry, system. That's the problem with a Japanese launch model, or any Japanese PS4. Sometimes the circle next switch, sometimes they don't. Minimap. There's no changing the size of the map. I'm gonna save though. See, now it wants me to do circle because it's the PS4 interface. Did it do it? There we go. Oh, you can see in the spinning thing in the background, all those sort of macro blocking colours and stuff. That's not normal. So that's an effect of streaming. Must be. Or maybe not. Oh, I need to back out of that. Back. So it's going to take a little while to get used to not having a right analog stick. Star? Okay, so X is for me to talk to people. A little bit off to the side, probably a chest maybe in here. Nope. A weird animation when he runs. Oh, what's that? Oh, I saw in her. It's like his right arm looks and hand looks more like a stump rather than anything in particular. Whoops, that was triangle. Just seeing what the buttons do. The PSP isn't known for fast loading, but it's not too bad so far, which does make me think it's still an early game. I don't really know where to go if I'm honest.
どうして中央麒麟門の門弟に追われていたんだい？どうしたんだよ？
恩師様と兄弟子たち、みんな中央キリモンのやつらに
まさか
殺されました。
本当なのか、本当なのか、それは本当なのかよ。
本当よ。
A bit of strangeness with the textbook sometimes.
バカ。もう東方清流門の門弟は私しかいないんだから、次の門主は私だなんて、そんなの無理に決ま
Might be
っ
able
て
to see
る
it.
じゃない。
This or what you
だ
would
から
think
破
would
門
be
さ
the
れて
top
よ
of
う
the
がなんだろうが、
box
その神武って人を探さなきゃいけないのよ。
or top of the characters in the box, because it's like a red, small red line, thin red line appearing sometimes. And I'd have to imagine that that's the game, not streaming.
神武は俺だよ。
だから東方清流門で残ったのは私と神武兄さんだけ。剣の腕だってまだまだだし、第一妹弟子に当たるんだから、私が兄さんを差し置いて門主になるわけにはいかないの。
俺は師匠に破門された身だ。もう部門に関わる気はないよ。
さっきは助けてくれたじゃない。
あれは
お願い、力を貸して。
ともかく師匠の遺言なんだから。
神武、
清達先生、授業は？
あなたたちが大声で騒ぐから子供たちも身が入らないようで、今日は返しました。
すみません。
あなたが謝る必要はありません。神武、今まで黙っていましたが、私はあなたが毎日剣の修行を欠かしていないことを知っていますよ。武芸者への夢が断ち切れないでいるのでしょう。
だからこそ義に反することはできないんです。
It's weird. It might be like a red line or a line sort of on his forehead where the head meets the forehead area. So it kind of looks like a piece rather than one head.
紅白の型に銀名剣です。
父の？
あなたの父親は大した武芸者でした。少々武芸バカではありましたが、ですがそれゆえに天地人三番剣を復活させることができたのでしょう。
あの伝説の武芸を？
父が三番剣を？
血は争えませんね。神武、自分の進むべき道、なすべきこと、立つべき頂を探しなさい。私の言いたいことはそれだけです。
Well, at least we get told what to do now. Oh, chest. So there was no prompt, but I just hit X.
るべき道、なすべきこと、立つべき頂。父さん、俺は門主なんて柄じゃない。それでも推理には力を貸してやりたい。
It's a cool looking sword. Okay, I'm going to hit start for the PS4 menu. I want to have a look at the settings. So default, retro classic. Let's have a look. Ooh, scan lines. That doesn't make sense. The PSP had an LCD screen or something like that. It never had scan lines. So that's weird. So we can only have modern. Whoops. Okay, video. Native. Let's have a look. 1:1 doesn't sound right. A square again. Doesn't work for PSP. The screen wasn't that aspect ratio. I have a 16:9, so that should have a look. Again, still doesn't work. It looks far too squished. I say that, it does look squished, but that doesn't work either. I don't think the Vita was a 4:3 screen. I still think it was somewhat widescreen. So I'm going to change that to native. So in terms of what we can do with PSP stuff, it's very little. Kinda, you gotta keep it as it is, basically. So the camera's moving by itself, of course. It's doing a fairly good job. But the mini-map does help. Because if we get lost by the camera, at least we know where to go. But that switch there was a bit brutal. Ooh boy. But that's just how it was on PSP. Like I said, often it would be the L and R, you'd rotate the camera of those, so they wouldn't probably be used in game. Sometimes you'd have like X and R, and that would do something other than camera, but yeah. But again, we still don't quite have... we haven't been told where to go. I assume we go back to say goodbye? I mean, we've already been up there. In a game like this, it's hard to know if we're actually by ourselves, or if the girl is with us and the game will only show one of us running.
方清流門をこのまま放っておくわけにはいかない。部門の再興は残された者の使命だと思う。だけど勘違いしないでほしいんだ。俺は門主になるつもりはない。
でも今
いいかい推理。門主になるのは君だ。
おお、心は決まっているようですね。
はい。銀名剣の響きが迷いを払ってくれました。俺はもう東方清流門には戻れませんが、父さんの3番剣を継ぐことはできます。
3番剣を体得する旅に出ると。
はい。それが俺の決めた進むべき道です。
これは3番剣の奥義を記した紅白の剣譜です。しかし今のあなたにはこの型の要諦は理解できないでしょう。神武、その足で大川を歩きなさい。散らばった3番剣の剣譜を集め、あなただけの武芸録を作るのです。きっとその奥義を理解できる日が来るでしょう。
推理、聞いた通りだ。今日から俺は3番剣を修行する一人の武芸者だ。それでもよければ俺は元兄弟子としてできる限り君の手助けをする。
兄さん頑固なのね。でも嬉しい。ありがとう。
Just randomly dump that in there. I guess we go. Well, not yet. Okay, different areas, different people will use different chi. Okay. I can tell you now, I'm not going to remember that. It is front loading a lot with the story. Like, you kind of see this with mobile phone games nowadays, that you get a lot of story up front, a lot of tutorial. And the idea is that's meant to be kind of played at home with the Wi-Fi and everything. And once you've done all that, you're then kind of free to play the game as you want. I guess we go. giving us a lot of story, but not a lot of direction. You know, it's not weird playing this on TV like this. I did have a PSP 1000 model, and it was a white one. But I also had a PSP 2000 model, and that had TV out. So I have played PSP a lot on TV, because you could pair a PS3 controller with it. So you could hook cables to PSP to TV, put it down, and it's like a base unit. So then you could use a PS3 controller. And we didn't have the problem with the Vita and PSTV. The PS3 controller had more buttons than a PSP. So there was no issue with control. So far, like half hour in, not really had any problems streaming the game. Had a little bit in the pause menu, in here, with that big dial on the right. Other than that, I've not had much of a problem. I'm gonna save, if it'll let me. There we go. If you saw my other videos, you would know that it's best to save when you can, because when the quality disappears, basically online's gonna stop, and you get a countdown, maybe 10 seconds, I think. With Why Not Chronicles, you can't save everywhere, so you save whenever you can, or else you're gonna lose a lot. At least here, we can save anywhere, by the looks of it. So at least select button says help, so that's one option. But look, cool. Okay. Nice reminder of what's weak and strong. So here's an example of what the scrolls actually mean. But it's yeah, it's a little complicated. A little bit more complicated than I thought. Ah, here it is. This tells you what you need to do. Okay, we're gonna have a look. It's quite a big map. So you can see this is the stuff we got for free. So equip. Definitely having that one. There's no what do I do with it? How do I equip stuff? Setup? That's that. Okay, that's a guess. It's like accessories is not where you think it's going to be. Let's not worry about that. Let's get some games in. Oh, so I'm just spamming circle if I'm honest.
ちゃんと死んでた。
Interesting. It's a good way to explain away the limits of the Vita in that, sorry, the PSP. In that, when you defeat characters, they're going to disappear. Well, they're going to disappear because they're dirt. A fun little way of doing it. I've been thinking of why the characters look familiar, and I mean as in like the art style. And is it kind of Shenmue-ish, the art style? What do you guys think? Put in the comments what the art style reminds you of. Is it Shenmue or is it some other game of the period? I'm not sure if it's like on Dreamcast, Skies of Arcadia. Was that Dreamcast or was that GameCube? But you know, it feels of the period. It reminds me of games of that time. Huh. Heavy curse bomb. Cool. Oh, wrong start button. Equip. And wrong button there. It's interesting, so bomb doesn't work there. Or there. Or there. Ginmei sword attack +1. Miracle sword attack +14. But can't be used for chi arts. Well, seeing as I don't seem to be using them, or understand how to use them, I'm going to switch for now. I wonder if bomb... Yeah, there we go. Of course, the question is, how do you change... Ah, that's the L button doing that. Okay. Obviously with a PSP game, you would probably get a manual and... Oh yeah, that's doing so much more damage. It'll probably explain in the manual how to do things, because this is still the period where games came with manuals, and pretty detailed ones. The PSP box wasn't particularly wide, but it was still thick enough because of the disc. The UMD wasn't just a disc like a DVD. The disc was in a case that kept the disc safe. A cartridge, I think, might be a technical name for what the disc was actually in. And that cartridge would then go into the PSP. Same with mini disc. The mini disc itself is in like a plastic cartridge, and that's what you put into a mini disc player. So the cases for these games were probably about as thick as current PS2 game cases at the time. So yeah, you still got pretty tall but pretty beefy manuals with the game. At the moment it's kind of just feeling like a generic hack and slash. I don't know, doesn't seem to be like a dodge button. Feels like we've just got to attack and attack until we win. Unlike One Eye Chronicles though, when you move away from them, you can avoid their attacks. So the Vita drop was 100. So we need to put that. We need to put that. Or we can just try and use it maybe. Use. There we go. graphically, the game looks fine. The controls are pretty good. There's no lag from cloud streaming either. I feel like what I'm doing is pretty accurate on screen. And so far there's been no hint of lag. So I don't know if it's 30 or 60. I have a feeling it might be 30. I don't remember the PSP having too many 60 frame per second games. But it feels fine, it controls fine. Doesn't seem to be a way. Oh, we can go in the water. Oh, there they are. Ah, chest, there we go. There doesn't seem to be a way in there at the moment. I do kind of miss a jump button, if I'm honest. Yeah, whilst it feels simple right now, we've already seen that it can get a lot more complicated. So whilst it's not that doing that now, in the back of our minds we know that the game has a lot more potential, a lot more ahead of it. So it makes this current part of the game, this nice easy introduction, feel fine. Oh, that looks nice. I will save before we get in there though. What system? See, it doesn't say saving or anything. So there's a little disconcerting. Oh no, it's because I was hitting the yeah, the X and circle. Okay. But still, it doesn't say saving anywhere, which is a little weird. The PSP wouldn't save to the discs. It would save to a memory stick Pro Duo. And I don't remember those being particularly fast. So I'm kind of expecting So I think what would happen is that the PSP OS, that would appear instead of the PS4 OS. Maybe in the OS it would be built into it, so it itself would be saying saving. But like I said, I haven't actually played this game on the PSP, so I've heard of it, recognize it, but it's not something I've actually played. Or if I did play this in a demo, it's not familiar to me.
おかしいな。誰が師匠たちの墓を作ってくれたんだ?
Yeah, thrown by the main chamber, but you're asking me, someone who's never been here before, where that is. So I guess we just have to do a little bit of exploration.
中央麒麟門の奴らが持ち去ったのかもしれない。
清流宝剣を取り戻さないと部門の最高どころの話じゃないわ。
Well, we're going to get a chest first. So we've got some sort of technique there, but we haven't quite worked out how to properly use them. It wouldn't surprise me if there's going to be a tutorial maybe later about how to use them. Plus at the moment the sword we have is pretty kick-ass. Unlike One Night Chronicles, we had to be quite on top of everything. At the moment we don't seem to have to do that.
まあそんなところだ。
それがしは英国と申す一介の武芸者です。東方清流門のご巧妙を伺い、一手ご指南いただきたく参上しました。ところがついてみると門は開け放たれたまま。不審に思い、失礼ながら中を覗かせていただいたところ、門主様をはじめ門弟の皆様こともどく。
じゃあ師匠たちの墓は君が？
これも何かのご縁と思い、勝手ながら埋葬させていただきました。
ありがとうございました。新聞兄さん、何かお礼できるかな。
ではご無礼に過ぎますが、一手ご指南を。
A little impromptu, but sure. Hey, kicking my ass. Is it that combo he did? I was doing like... I can't do anything there. I don't know, am I meant to lose this? I'm meant to be a master, but this kid, you see that, 44? The best I did to him was like 8. Like, am I meant to wait and treat him like a boss battle? Wait for him to move and attack him when he stops? I can't run away when he's doing this chain. Wait, I meant to win that? How? How am I meant to win that? Let's hit continue and see what happens. Oh, we gotta load it, okay. How? How am I meant to win that? It's like... Oh, I'm gonna have to actually learn right now how to use those scrolls, aren't I? I keep hitting the wrong button. I don't understand this, if I'm honest. That's my guy. No. Still don't understand. We've got to do all this all over again. Which means I'm going to save in the temple. wondering if there's like a button you could press to fast forward, but
誰が師匠たちの墓を
doesn't
作
seem
って
to
くれ
be.
たんだ？
清流宝剣がな。
中央キリン門
Well, at
のや
least
つ
I
ら
know
持ち去った
from
のかも
this
しれ
scene
ない。
that the items I used in the last battle I still got because it's literally from the save. Well, let's have a look at that. I don't. How? What? I don't get this. Oh, we've got to do chi art. I got to change the sword to one that can use chi. Let's put some of these on. Put those on. And save. Alright. I have no idea if any of this is going to help. Through the PS4 menu, you can rewind, but you can't fast forward.
お二方は東方清流門の御門下でいらっしゃいますか？
It's a shame that with the PS4 controller, we've got
そんなところ
L2 and R2,
それがしは
that we can't use that to fast forward and rewind in the game.
東方清流門のご光明を伺い、一手ご指南いただきたく参上しました。ところがついてみると、門は開け放たれたまま。不審に思い、失礼ながら中を覗かせていただいたところ、門主様をはじめ、門弟の皆様こともどく。
じゃあ師匠たちの墓は君が？
これも何かのご縁と思い、勝手ながら埋葬させていただきました。
ありがとうございました。新聞兄さん、何かお礼できるかな？
ではご無礼に過ぎますが、一手ご指南を。
Alright. Run away. He gets me in the back. It's that combo. Give me a chance. I can't run away from that. Oh, I got some damage there. It's like I want X or square to be like a dodge or a roll. it's not. As with there's not a real lock-on feeling to this. Wait, I did it? Probably weren't too far off for the first attempt. Yeah, it just felt weird there was no lock-on, or it was difficult to gauge the 3D depth of that.
笑うな。黙っていて悪かった。俺は東方清流門を破門された身なんだ。だからさっきの技も正確には東方清流門の技じゃない。
それはなおのこと好都合。
え？
ご無理を承知でお願いいたします。神武殿、それがしに憲符をお貸しください。
ダメダメ、それは無理。
決してご迷惑をおかけしませんし、必ずお返しいたします。
ダメなものはダメだよ。俺にとっても大切なものなんだ。
そうですか。やはり
先を急ごう。今日中に5水を越えるのは無理だろうけど、五鉱山の麓まで行っておきたい。清流宝剣を奪った奴らの足取りを追うんだ。それじゃあ俺たちはこれで。
お待ちください。門主様や門弟の皆様をこのままお送りするのですか。せめて一晩御霊をお慰めしていかれてはいかがでしょう。
それもそうね。兄さんは門主様にたくさん謝らなきゃいけないことがあるんでしょ。
分かったよ。
Oh, their tone changed pretty
それ
quick.
がしが調達してきます。いえいえいえ、ここはお任せください。
だからその兄弟子は俺に言ったんだ。お前は他の弟弟子に比べると武芸の飲み込みが悪い。こっそり秘伝碑を見て鼻を明かしてやれってね。
それで破門？
ああ、兄弟子には悪気はなかったんだ。ほんの冗談を真に受けた俺が悪い。
あ、切れた。それってお人よしすぎるわよ。バカみたい。
神武殿、世の中には人の良さにつけ込み相手を蹴落とそうとする輩も大勢いるんですよ。
いいんだ。疑うより騙された方が目覚めがいい。
ところでお二方は東方清流門が襲撃された理由にお心当たりは。中央麒麟門の奴らが軍備を増強し王家を我が物顔でのし歩いているのはご承知の通り。その目的は間違いなく王家にある5つの門に関係しております。
Pretty smart kid, this guy.
もっとも今それ以上のことは分かりませんが。
ちょっと、なんでそんなこと知ってるわけ？
まあそれはそれがしの親類が北方警部門で貿易をやっているもので。
Shady.
なるほど。師匠はそれに関わってしまったために亡き者にされたと。
ちょっと疑いなさいよ。兄さん、英国がいない。
先に言ったんだろう。
何をのんきな。懐を探ってみなさいよ。
ない。憲符がやられたな。
借りていくって書き置きが残ってたわ。やっぱり北方玄武門の人間なのよ。昨日北方玄武門って聞いた時にもっと用心するべきだった。北方玄武門はジャハ、私たち正派とはやり口が違いすぎるわ。
いいんだ。俺が不用心だった。確かに英国の剣は切っ先が二股に分かれていた。あれは北方玄武門の剣だよ。
後を追いましょう。 急げば
Yeah,
5
talk
水を
about
渡る前に追い
hindsight.
つけるかもしれない。
Okay, at least we've been healed. So as far as streaming goes, it's fine. Any issues I've had seem to have been more from the game rather than streaming itself. But I think I'm gonna leave it there. So leave it at this gate so I know, you know, to go through for this gate. Yeah, I'll say streaming's been fine, controls were fine. Nothing I can think of that affected gameplay or my enjoyment of the game. So if you're interested in trying this, I think streaming would be a good idea. It seems to work quite well, and at the moment the pace of the game seems it wouldn't be an issue with online streaming. As for me though, will I play this as a part 2? Probably not. I don't know what it is, but it's just not grabbing me. The maybe it's the style of game, maybe that I'm worried about the upcoming difficulties that could be. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just not really grabbing me, the story. But if you guys are interested, please let me know how it goes in the comments. This is going like the first hour, and you can see that even though it's a portable game, even back on the PSP, there was a lot of games designed traditionally, shall we say, like console games. So I'm not surprised that it's this long and there's not a lot of stuff to do in the beginning. And it wouldn't surprise me if this game turns out to be like 20, 30, 40 hours long. But I won't be the one to do a video on that. So, until I see you again, or maybe if I see you around the side looking at other videos, of course we've got 5 videos from One Eye Chronicles and One Eye Chronicles 2, One Eye Chronicles 1 Remastered. You can have a look at those games. 2 or 3 of them, perhaps not so clear cut as to online performance. There were a couple of issues now and then. But until then, take care.